This is CNN Breaking News.
Hello, everyone. I'm Don Lemon, live at the CNN World Headquarters in Atlanta. You're looking at that picture of Whitney Houston, and it does say 1963 to 2012 because CNN has confirmed that Whitney Houston has died at the age of 48. Beverly Hills Police Department Lieutenant Mark Rosen coming out and confirming that information in a live press conference on CNN moments ago. Here's what they said. They said at 3:23 in the afternoon in Los Angeles, Pacific time, West Coast time, they got a call into the Beverly Hills Police Department that someone was unconscious. They arrived within 2 to 3 minutes at the Beverly Hilton Hotel up on the 4th floor. When they got to the 4th floor room, the person who was residing in that room was Whitney Houston. She was on the floor. They tried to revive her. They could not. Friends, family, and co-workers confirmed that it was Whitney Houston. They identified her at 3:55 Pacific time. Whitney Houston, 48 years old, pronounced dead. CNN entertainment producer Alan Duke on the phone with new information. Alan, what do you have?
I've clarified, gotten to the bottom of the confusion over who found her, I do believe. I've just been told by a publicist for Ray J earlier. I reported that a close friend of Ray J said that he was involved, but it was another Ray. It was the bodyguard for Whitney Houston, whose first name happens to be Ray, who discovered her body. This is according to Courtney Barnes, the publicist for Ray J, a close friend of Whitney Houston, someone closely associated with her in the last several weeks. It was the bodyguard, whose name coincidentally is Ray, who discovered that she discovered her.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Alan. And you know, I appreciate you coming on and doing that. I don't think we need to go over that again because, as we know, and when we have these situations in the initial reporting, there's always things coming in. And as you said, the guy's name was Ray, and Ray, understandable. You know, as when Michael Jackson died, as when any big star dies, there's always conflicting information that comes in. But what's important here is that we are mourning the passing of a legendary singer and entertainer, Whitney Houston, and we are celebrating the talent and love and all the goodness that she brought to us because she was so amazing with her singing. And again, you know, she did have her issues, but right now we want to honor her memory and tell you about her and tell you about at least what we know surrounding her death. And let me just read this because we're getting feedback from all over and from entertainers as well. And I just wanted to, Kim Kardashian is tweeting, she said, just heard the tragic news that Whitney Houston passed away. I pray for her daughter and loved ones. We will always love Whitney. Ricky Gervais saying, rest in peace, Whitney Houston, an amazing talent, a tragic soul, so sad. Irvin Magic Johnson saying, Cookie and I are shocked and saddened about the news of Whitney Houston, a great friend, and one of the most beautiful voices this world has heard. Wendy Williams. Wendy and Whitney had their moments. That's all I'll say. But Wendy is saying, my family and I are saddened by the loss of a true icon and legend, Whitney Houston. Our thoughts and prayers are with the entire Houston family. On and on. Dwayne Wade also saying, rest in peace to a legend. Sad day for music lovers. Whitney Houston should be celebrated for blessings, for blessing us with her gifts. Icon, mother, beautiful. And of course, I read the statement from the Reverend Al Sharpton. He is also tweeting, but he also released a statement saying he's going to ask for a special prayer service tomorrow morning in Los Angeles, which is the morning of the Grammys. Let's go now to Corinne Winter, who is standing by in Los Angeles, or in Hollywood, I should say. Corinne is our entertainment reporter, and Corinne, you cover Whitney Houston. We've been doing a lot of talking here about the circumstances surrounding, but what an amazing talent. And I just got a text from a friend and coworker now, Holly Hughes, saying heaven just got another beautiful voice added to the choir there. And what a fitting way to
Such a sad
talk
day
about Whitney Houston. Yes.
And you've been mentioning all the entertainers tweeting. The great Tony Bennett also just tweeted saying Whitney Houston was the greatest singer I've ever heard. She will be missed. You know, it's interesting, Don. I just got a tweet from an artist in the music industry, a close friend of Whitney Houston, who asked to remain anonymous, but they mentioned that they were also at that Kelly Price event a couple days ago here in Los Angeles, the Kelly Price Friends and Jam Session event, and that person summed it up this way, that they watched this great entertainer perform, Whitney Houston. They say she looked healthy, also that she didn't look like she was abusing any sort of drugs, and really summed up her performance as just that, a great performance. And, you know, this is a singer. She's accomplished so much, you know, in her lifetime, in her career, but over the last several years, Don, I'm sure you'll agree, she was just battered in the press. You know, one negative story after another, alleging more addiction to drugs, you know, her physical condition. But she was set to appear in a remake of the 1976 movie Sparkle. It's a movie based loosely on the Supremes, and that was supposed to take place this year. This was supposed to be a big deal because her last movie role, her one and only, was back in 1996, The Preacher's Wife. And, you know, we've heard from Dr. Drew talk a lot about the condition of her voice, you know, her battle with drugs, the fact that this wasn't the Whitney Houston that we knew from years ago where she just reigned in the 1990s. But, Don, just from covering the side of the business, there were so many people really rooting for her, looking for a Whitney Houston comeback, just waiting for her to do incredible and remarkable things again. So this is truly a sad chapter, a final chapter in her life that everyone's just trying to make sense of, to come to terms with. I'll be at the Grammys tomorrow, and you can just imagine what the reaction will be there. So many people will still be numb from this breaking news happening the day before the Grammys.
And you were talking about Sparkle and her other movie roles. And do you remember when she did The Bodyguard back in 1992, and she and Kevin Costner, you know, it was one of those movies that people thought were kind of hokey, but it was a great movie, and #1 hit from it in her video. She's pregnant, she was beautiful. And then after that, she did Waiting to Exhale. In 1995, a great role she played in that, and then The Preacher's Wife.
But do you remember how...
Go ahead.
Don, do you remember how she blew everyone away? Everyone knows Whitney Houston as this talented, phenomenal singer who just blows other artists out the water. And you said it, when she appeared in this movie, people thought, wow, not only is she a talented singer, but this woman can act. Yeah. And, you know, she wasn't just standing next to any actor. We're talking Kevin Costner.
Right.
And she really stole the show. She really stole the spotlight. So it was just, you know, a glimmer, a glimpse of what she could accomplish in life.
Listen, if you were, Karine, stand by. If you were a singer and you had to perform with Whitney Houston, much like if you have to get on a stage and sing next to Patti LaBelle, you better bring it. And a number of singers, if you have to sing with them, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to get up there with Whitney Houston. Reverend Al Sharpton, you there?
Yes, I'm here. A great voice, Don, and I knew her over 20 years, and I voice she had and the sense of humanity, and I think that all of us were rooting for her, that she was on the rebound. I saw her last year, and she looked healthy. I would talk to her mother all the time. Great family, Dion, aunt, and I think that what we're doing, I'm in Los Angeles, ironically. Church tomorrow morning, a prayer for her family, her daughter, and I'm still numb and shocked. I'm here in Beverly Hills. Grammy festivities going on, and people are just walking around in a stupor. But I would hope that we had and what she shared with so many, and that we all pause in prayer for her daughter and her family, her mom, and so many, because God gave Whitney a voice that she shared with the world. And I would hope that all the negative press and the battering would take a pause and remember this great talent that really brought music to another level.
Hey, Reverend, you know what I have to say? It's odd. You remember you and I, back in 2009, during Michael Jackson, when you became the representative of the Jackson family, and you called me and you said, Donna, I know it all. What do you need? What information do you need? And then now we are here, almost 3 years later, talking about Whitney Houston, another death, another celebrity who you knew personally as you knew Michael Jackson and his family.
Yeah, you're right. I was there I knew Michael very well, but Whitney, I think, Whitney was the diva that brought music to a whole nother level. And then she transitioned and did acting well. She was a beautiful person. She was one of the most beautiful women you would see. She was one that didn't need makeup to look beautiful.
Right.
And her talent is what we ought to remember, and her sense of real excellence in music. She could sing with the best and out-sing them. She was just an excellent person and her artistry. And yes, she had trials, yes, she had struggles, but I hope we remember not what the scandal writers would write. I hope we remember this beautiful person that came out of a stable gospel background and was able to become the queen of pop and did it like no one else. There'll never be another Whitney Houston, not like Whitney was.
Here's the thing, Reverend. We all have issues. It's just that most people's don't end up being front page news.
All of us have had battles in life. All of us have had issues to overcome. Because of who she was, they were front page. And I think that we should look at the ups and downs in her life and think of the ups and downs in our life and realize that she never gave up, and she would always try to turn her tragedies into triumphs. And as we face this hour numb, we ought to seek the best. I remember one of her last hits that she sang was "I Look to You."
Yes.
And that's all I could think of tonight is Whitney singing that song, "I Look to You." And I believe that at this point, that's what we'll be doing here tomorrow and tonight, looking to God to make sense out of the loss of this great songstress, the songbird, if there ever was one, was Whitney Houston.
Hey, Reverend, as I said to you, and I said to all of the Jackson family, to LaToya, every time I get to speak to Jermaine, when something like this happens, when Michael died, I think about the mother, Catherine, who just happens to be my mother's name, Catherine. And now that Whitney has passed, I'm thinking about her mother, Sissy. Can you imagine Sissy Houston? I doubt that you've had a moment to reach out to her, but our thoughts and prayers are with Sissy Houston.
Well, our prayers must be with Sissy. I'm reaching out to her now. And through it all, Sissy Houston had communities praying for Whitney. And she saw her daughter as symbols of a lot of our children that face challenges in life. And at this hour, my heart certainly goes out to her and her daughter and her family. And Dionne Warwick, she was just a person that sung to our heart. And I would hope that what we remember about her and the whole industry pause and remember one that did so much and did so much in such a great way.
And since we have the Reverend on, and let the church say, as they say, amen, Reverend. Thank you, Reverend Al Sharpton. We appreciate it. More celebrity reaction pouring in. More right after the break. And the death of Whitney Houston at the age of 48.